Hi, from Berlin, Germany. There seems to be a conversation going on around within young people. And there's an entire group that think young people need to review bride price payment. What are the gender roles for women in a family unit? What does religion say? How should society respond?
The hashtag on Twitter to share their experiences of everyday gender discrimination. Across the world, women juggle work with family and care for responsibilities, and Nigeria is no exception. On today's episode, I have guests in the studio. I am not physically present with them there because I got in close proximity with someone who contacted positive to COVID. Even though I tested negative, I am staying away for the safety of everyone there. I'd like to introduce my guests. I'll start with Pius Ibrahim Onoja, who is a PhD student in Germany. Hello, Pius.
Hello.
Pleased to see you.
Same here.
And there's Kola Akintola. He's also an MBA student in Berlin. Hello, Kola.
Hi, Messi.
Thank you for coming. I have Abubakar Bello Ismail. He is a Nigerian student as well in Germany.
Hi, Messi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi. And we have Victoria Esen. She's also an MBA student in Berlin.
Hi, Messi.
Before we introduce our colleagues, we're going to start with the conversation with our guests in the studio. Let's talk about patriarchy. This is an issue that concerns women, but more often than not, it comes off as though it's a conversation that sees the other gender being on the defensive. I am excited that we have more men in the studio to talk about this. Perhaps I'll start with Kola. Why is it, can you just, in your own assertion, explain what it means to be female in Nigeria? I know you are a man, but I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Messi. Based on my experience back in Nigeria, to be precise, I was living in the southwest part of Nigeria, Lagos and Ibadan. So to be a female in Nigeria, though the role is evolving, traditionally females are known to be having a supporting role in the society in Nigeria. So like husband and wife, so you are meant to support your husband. The husband is the head of the house. But due to westernization and how the influence of social media, we started seeing what is coming, because Nigeria, we are largely being influenced by what is going on in America. So we started shifting the roles. So women are taking their place in the society, in the corporate world. We started seeing women into leadership position in Nigeria. But those are educated women, but in terms of those are not educated, that are not in the middle class. So the role is still largely based in terms of male are still largely domineering in terms of what they expect, because there are some things that are expected of women in Nigeria to do, like support your husband, or look after your children, and so on and so forth. So largely they are like second fiddle in terms of how people see them in the society back then in Nigeria.
Thank you, Kola. Pius, yeah. I listened to Kola's talk and he kept saying, see them. Like it's a gender that is them. Interesting. But I'll take it up with you. Do you think a woman is a second fiddle?
No, I don't think so. I think basically the issue with Nigeria and the relationship between the man and the woman are placed in the society in Nigeria is based on education. The educational system of Nigeria, one, education, two, I would attribute it to religion. Because of the dynamic nature of the religion aspect in Nigeria, some religion accept the role of human showing herself, coming forward to speak the truth, to say the truth whenever she pleases, while others or other religion believe that no, this should not be. Woman is not supposed to talk when the man is talk. While traditionally, again, the woman is not expected to talk when the man is talk. So based on these three factors, the women found themselves in that position whereby they have to fight to get their place in the society in Nigeria. And the major issue there now is how they place themselves in that level that the society will appreciate them, will see them in the light, not being, because right now, so religion will tell you that, no, she's trying to overrule me, she's trying to dominate me, she's trying to take my place as a man, she's trying to take my place as a father, she's trying to take my place as a manager. But all this is based on education, civilization. If the educational system in Nigeria is balanced and people are well educated, then each person will know his place in the society.
Victoria, does a woman need education for her rights to be respected and for her to, for her not to contend with issues like gender-based violence?
No, I disagree. Even if you are not educated, you are not supposed to be seen as a weaker vessel, because let me say 30% of Nigerians now, they still see the women as the weaker vessels.
Now, if I may chip in, Mercy, Victoria, I will tell you that in that point I will say, if you are not educated, how will you know what is right and what is wrong? You must be educated to be able to say, yes, this is my right as a woman, this is my right as a lady, I need it, this is my right, give it to me.
It is
because if you do not fight for your right, nobody will give it to you.
But
excuse me? I mean, in addition to what they are saying, I think woman doesn't need education before her right.
Thank you.
Before she express or practice her right.
Exactly.
The society should preserve or make a room for their rights.
Education, where does she know that?
She needs.
Her
rights needs to be reserved for her.
I think the bone of contention here is we have to go back to the fundamentals.
Now let's take it to Nigeria. In the north, you find out that if you go to the north in Nigeria, you find out that the female there are oppressed. They are oppressed in the sense. I will tell you.
How do you define oppression?
Oppression can be in diverse.
See, in terms of education, let me say something. Yes. I have someone, she's well educated.
Yes.
She did her master's. She was doing so well. Do you know her husband told her to stop working, to just take care of the house, just cook and clean? And she's educated. Why? Because she's seen as an infant.
She can fight for her rights.
Let me just make this point. In Nigeria, we are 90% of Nigeria, I would say we are religious.
Yeah.
So if you look at culturally and religious wise, so that we are being largely influenced by that. But if you move, so if you want to look at it, we have to look at it based on region. So if you're in Lagos, you can still say, okay, in Lagos, more people are more liberal. But if you go back to...
Why is it that so in Lagos? Because
can I just chip in something?
Yeah.
I heard an argument that suggests that in some parts of the country, or perhaps in the north, the rights of women aren't as respected as it were. Yeah. But across the country, not a northern problem, a Nigerian problem, you can also see that the issue of gender-based violence is still top in almost all the states of the Federation, even in states where the law has been passed. When it comes to implementation, when a problem that concerns a woman, even if it is violence within the home, the priority isn't placed as a human rights issue. This is where I'll probably have to ask Victoria this question.
Okay.
Are you, as a Nigerian woman, and if you are in Nigeria, are you scared about your life?
Not really. Because for example, based on my education, I like doing certificate programs and all that. Yet somebody told me, Vicky, all this education, you have to stop and get married and take care of your home. And what if your husband does not even want you to work? That's most of the mentality in Nigeria. That's why I said 30% of Nigerian men are still thinking that way. They believe as a woman, your role is in the kitchen. Your role is just to take care of the children, not to be in the society, not to take up higher positions. So it is still existing in Nigeria, education or no education.
I agree with her, and we still have to go back to based on religion.
All is still based on education and religion. The three factors I mentioned in the first place. I mentioned religion, I mentioned education, and I mentioned the other, I will now call it society factor as well.
I mean, talking of the education part of it,
yes,
I think, education is an added advantage for the woman to know her right.
Thank you.
But she doesn't need education before her right is respected.
Thank you.
All religion provides, how women should be respected, how man should take care of his own.
Education is not per se for the woman alone. It's both for the both.
That is what I am saying.
It's for the both
an added
gender.
advantage
Now,
for her to know her
if the man is well educated, you know what is good and what the lady should get, because they said if you train up a woman, you've trained a nation. Yeah. Why is it so? Because they believe that she has the tendency of grooming the children to the expected stage in the society.
Okay, let me ask a question.
Yes.
Okay, there's a friend of mine. He was doing so well. Before he got married, the wife was also working in an oil company. And people that work in oil company, they believe, they are influential and all that. And the moment the first child came in, just told the woman, you have to quit. You have to stop working. You have to choose either me or your job. And of course, because she's a woman, she chose her husband and stopped working. And when she stopped working, there was complaint in the house. Oh, all she does is just to watch movies, to do this one. She's not productive and all that. But you told this woman to stop working.
I understand what you were saying. I understand you can be oppressed after marriage, but you have the right to choose the person you want to marry. I know you can't know everything about the man before marriage, but you should know the person you are getting married to.
Can I have Uthman so you could join this conversation?
Thank you very much, Mercy, for having me. I will approach it from two perspectives. From the perspective of religion, which is Islam, which happens to be my religion, and the other second one is from the point of African and Nigeria stereotype. First of all, when you come to Islamic religion, woman is not placed as a second gender in any way. In fact, Islam encourages that you should train women as much as you give priority to men, because when you train a woman, it is as if you have trained the whole nation. And there is no anywhere it is provided in Islam that if you train a man, you have trained a nation. It means that Islam gave priority to women. But I think it is even the women themselves that is getting it all wrong, probably because our society here in Nigeria and Africa has given them that second position. And that is why it seems like when you are not educated as a woman, your rights should not be enforced. And I think this is where I would differ from what is happening in the studio. A woman does not have to be educated before her right should be respected. Her right is a follow-come right. Her right is bet with her, and she does not require education to recognize such right and be respected for it. Because I just noticed that in Nigeria, every enlightened woman in Nigeria is a feminist. What do I mean? If you look at most of the women that are canvassing the support for feminism in Nigeria, they are enlightened women. They are people who go to school. They are people who understand what the world is talking about in terms of education and rights. But those who are really suffering this issue, those women whom those enlightened women are fighting for, calling themselves feminists and feminism concept, they did not go to school. They don't understand what is called right. And then it becomes like a burden for them that because they did not go to school, they do not understand what their right means. And then again, that is on the other side. On one part again is that women, it is time people should understand that women are the future of everything that engender national development and advancement in nation building. Whatever you are doing and you do not carry women along, to my mind, that thing will certainly not have a headway positively. So what am I trying to say? I think it is important that we should begin to rewrite the narrative of all the injustices that have been done against women gender in Nigeria. And I think the scholars of Islam should be hitting on this issue for them to really understand that there is nothing wrong in a woman holding a political position. There's nothing wrong in a woman, leading the men if that man does not have what
Tochukwu, can I take you up on something? Tochukwu, can I take you up on something? You're from the south of Nigeria. You're from an area where bride price is, the conversation around bride price tops the charts. Do you think the culture of bride price is good in terms of how it has gone over the years? Do you think it protects the sanctity of a woman?
Well, I think differently, but if you ask me to speak on this, I may have a kind of biased perspective in the sense that I am a Muslim. If I want to marry today, they will not bring it from the culture of what is obtainable in the Southeast as a whole, Igbo tradition. Igbo tradition may not likely to apply fully when I want to marry. They want to look at it from the Islamic perspective. And under Islam, we have a standard of marriage rights. And I'm bound by such standard because I'm a Muslim, despite the fact that I come from the South. So I may not, it may not be too fair for me.
But in Islam, do you pay bride price when you want to marry a woman?
In fact, that the bride price in Islam is compulsory because that is what gives you a legal access to a woman as a wife to copulate with her. If you don't pay such bride price, whatever you does with her is against the Sharia.
But there are women that are advocating against bride price, the culture of bride price, as it sort of sells of a woman.
Probably because it is exorbitant. On the argument of the fact that it exhausts the woman, you are selling off the woman. I do not think they are correct. I would differ because in Islam, Allah recognizes the payment of bride price, and Allah made it in a way that it is exclusively from that of a woman. Let me make this point. It is important to note that bride price does not necessarily have to be money. Bride price is something that has value. And it must be requested by the woman, by the bride, to the husband. It's not to the bride's guardian or parents. It's the wife that will request it from the husband.
Can I say something? You said please. It's supposed to be requested by the woman, but that's not the case. As a matter of fact, the woman is never there when it's negotiated.
I mean, this is why I say that. You see, in Nigeria, we are ungodly religious. Ungodly religious, in quote, in the sense that we claim to be religious by being too godly to worship God, but we are playing insincerity in our worship. That is the practice. The practice is wrong. But in the letters, what it provides is that a woman who is going to be married is the person that is going to sit with the husband and say, guy, this is what you are going to pay me for my bride price. Really? During the time of the prophet Mercy, some people married with the recitation of some portions from the Holy Quran. The wife will say, he should just come and recite so portion of the Quran or Bible for me, if you are for the Christians, so that you can understand the idea. You just recite it and bride price has been paid. It doesn't have to be money.
Uthman, I would really love to tell a man how much he has to pay without my
yes, I'm telling you that is your right. In addition to what he's saying.
Let's go back to the studio.
In addition to what he's saying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your input. Fali will come to you. I know that you're itching to talk. Let's go to the studio. Can you guys react to what Uthman has said? Perhaps Victoria, you want to say something?
Okay.
I wish I can actually say that maybe my husband should pay so amount because it's never done. Where I'm from, I don't even know how much they are going to pay. It depends on my family and the husband's family. So what the amount that they pay, I have no idea. I don't even know how much they pay. So it's actually different, very different from my own side. I don't know if it applies to your own side too.
Do you think the culture of dowry and bride price needs to be abolished?
Why would it be abolished? No. Because definitely, if you want it to be abolished, that means they are giving the woman free of charge.
What do you mean?
It's not like that. Excuse me, no, it's not like that. See, talking of this bride price, it's not as if you are paying for the woman.
Okay.
You are not paying for the woman.
No, it just applies appreciating, oh, thank you for this beautiful woman that you're giving to me on a platter of gold. Just, you know, it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. I don't think it's supposed to be a
I think in my culture, it's changing gradually. I'm a Yoruba man. I'm from the Southwest. So now if the issue of bride price, so the parents usually give, they might say, okay, bring 2,000 naira. So once you give them 2,000 naira, and they will hand over the money back to you that we are not selling our daughter. What we are asking from you is just to take care of her. Once you take care of her, you've taken care of us. So we are not asking for bride price. So it's waning gradually in my area from where I come from, because the only thing they just collect from you is just maybe the yam and the oranges and all that, just to share it amongst the family, because we believe that it's not just your parents that take care of you since when they get back to you and all that, so they have to share it. And those bride price thing is not just the parent that will take it alone, it's just the family. It's the whole of the family that will share it amongst themselves.
So what's the difference between the money and the yam and all that? Is it not the same thing?
They are all valid. Okay, from the Islamic perspective of it, you can pay with money or something valuable.
But it's the same thing. Money or no money.
Yeah, that's it. And relating it to the women's rights, in Islam, as you are handing the money, the father of the bride is here to state what they are expected of you to take care of the woman, starting from her clothing, feeding, all has, you know.
Do you know it's based even in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Now I will tell you this: mm-hmm. Nigeria, we are so carried away by religion and some of the practices we overtaking them to extreme. Now, what is it? What does I mean by that? Now look at it now. A lady wants to marry. Mm-hmm. The family are looking at it as a means of livelihood. They say this guy is going now. They will even decide, okay, who she wants to marry. Is that man rich? Wait, I'm telling you, not only it happens in all culture. No. They decide. Wait, I'm ready somewhere.
No, family don't decide. They
have to decide. Even some culture, they even tell you the bride price based on the person.
Where are you from?
But do you know that sometimes the reason why they ask if the man is wealthy or not, because they don't want their child to suffer. Imagine me taking care of my daughter, no, wait. Imagine me taking care of my daughter, give her everything, only to give her to a man that doesn't have anything. Come on, no, I won't let that happen. No, I won't let that happen.
That's very important.
That is the problem we have in Nigeria. I still believe, I disagree
with
some
parents are capitalists.
The other calling that is saying it does not, education does not, you don't need education to respect the right of a woman. Yes, you don't need education to respect the right of a woman, but you need education to know what is the right of the woman, and the woman also need education to know what is her right. What is education? Education can mean anything. As I tell you, this is it. It's education. I'm teaching you what it means. Mm-hmm. So now, if you don't tell the lady, or the lady doesn't know a place in the society, how does she claim a place? She cannot claim a place. We are from Nigeria. We know our problem in Nigeria. Our problem in Nigeria is education and the religion.
No, the religion and education.
Because we are far behind in education, and we are
talking of education.
We carry the religion to become our school. We carry the religion to become our code. While we leave the necessary thing that we are supposed to handle in life, we left the marriage.
Going by what you said, it depends on what you call education.
Now, if you
talking about education like qualification, like let's say
nobody's talking about education.
Education is normal as you grow up in the society. You must know your rights. Going by religion and tradition, you have to know your rights.
A lady is being brought up in the north. I was born and brought up in the north.
The point is, you don't need education before you.
I have been to all the 36 states of Nigeria. I have stayed in all the old states, not more than 6 months in any of the states in Nigeria. I can tell you fully what is happening in Zamfara as a female lady.
That is what you are getting. I think.
Now I will tell you what is even happening in the east. Now let me tell you, a lady can only claim as a place in the society when she is ready to stand on her own, whether be it on the man or on the woman. If a lady can stand on her own, whether you feed me, why do most ladies get married? married. They get married, someone to have children, another one, someone to have, they want to have as a source of living. They want to bear, because of what? The economy is bad, everything is poor in the society. That is why people are being frustrated, people are being left behind, and they use the religion to oppress people, use the education. They refuse to make people to get educated so that they will know their right in the society. They oppress them.
Excuse me,
and that is my problem with them.
Who is refusing ladies education? Who is refusing ladies education because of their rights?
We cry for the ladies.
Who is refusing ladies education because of their rights? Who is refusing women education because of their rights?
Why would I leave you?
Who is refusing women education because of their rights? Who is refusing women education because of their rights? Answer that question. Who is refusing them because of their rights?
Guys, can we go? Guys,
no way. Nobody is refusing women education because of their rights. Yes, nobody is refusing them because of their rights. Yes, nobody is refusing them because of their rights. It might be for another reason, but not for their rights.
Nigerians,
yes.
I know, I am privileged to know, and I'd like her to look at the law and what it says about the place of a woman in Nigeria, and I need her to perhaps also talk on gender-based violence and how it affects women in Nigeria.
Yes, Mercy, thank you so much. And what an insightful conversation. Specifically to answer your question, I think Nigeria as a society or within our legal framework, women have equal rights in terms of the salaries we earn, amongst other things, as compared to other international societies. The challenges women face legally, there isn't that barrier. However, in some societies, there were situations where women were not able to inherit certain landed properties because the customary laws do not allow that. And luckily, the Supreme Court of Nigeria has been able to deem that law unequitable. And in the society where there is natural justice, that custom is not able to stand or be sustained. However, having the law is one thing, but what are the customs and norms that govern each and every society, whether you're in the north, whether you're in the south, wherever you are? And we have critical challenges, and it's not because of our laws, it's because of entrenched cultures we have lived with for so long. So more often than not, the challenges you see women face in Nigeria are usually culturally ingrained, not necessarily provided for in law or provided for in religious doctrines, or perhaps even, we would even say it's not to the extent that the society or the country as a nation does not recognize the value of women. But being that as it may, a critical challenge for women in this, our time, is sexual and gender-based violence. 1 in 3 girls every day is a victim of sexual and gender-based violence. Women in their homes are victims of sexual and gender-based violence. And the challenge we have within the legal framework is because not many states have been able to pass the Violence Against Persons Act. And what that act does is, if for any reason, as a woman or as a human being, someone has meted out some sort of violence against me, I'm able to take action in court as a criminal case. And specifically when it comes to issue of rape and when it comes to young girls, the challenge we're having is there is a dichotomy when it comes to the age of marriage in Nigeria. And this dichotomy comes because there is a disparity between what happens as stated in the penal code in usually the northern countries and what happens in the southern countries. So in the northern states that are usually governed by the penal code and the sayings of the Quran, I think a girl is of age after her first menstrual period, which is an Islamic argument that is consistently going on. But legally, no one can cohabit or have unlawful carnal knowledge of any young girl below the age of 18. And because of the prevalence of this incident, not only in our homes, but even in our schools, where we take a number of girls to go and learn, and the teachers are found harassing these young girls, and the girls fall victims of this harassment, a number of states have passed the Violence Against Persons Act. And in addition, some states have even passed a law that will cause incarceration for young men who are found guilty of raping young girls and even their wives, amongst other things. But passing the law also is, again, one thing. How do we implement this, and how do we make people within the society understand that women basically have an equal footing with you in society? And it begins with a cultural shift that we have, and we as educated people have a responsibility, not only to just tell people, oh, women should be educated before they understand their rights, but we have a responsibility to create a rethink in society, because we cannot claim to be educated, we cannot claim to be advanced or aware and proclaim that until you have education, you will not understand your rights. Because this is all about morality.
Yeah. I just want to ask a different question, and I like the input you've given and what the law says and and what not. Can I just can I want to get married now and tell my father I don't want you to to negotiate that bride price thing for me? The conversations that they were having in the studio. Can you just talk more on that?
Okay, so specifically on the bride price, I think the point was made in terms of two perspectives, right? One, when it comes to bride price, it's a completely customary and religious circumstance. And I will speak to the religion that I'm aware of, which is Islam. And in Islam, as I think Tochukwu has beautifully highlighted, the bride price is just anything of value. And anything of value can equally be negotiated between you and your husband as a Muslim or a northern girl if you happen to be practicing Muslim and you're from the north. However, the process of let's say execution of your marriage, which is more or less a contract if you think about it, are usually handled by your representatives, by your legal representatives. And in that case, it will be your father, your uncles, or whoever is appointed to take care of you. But it doesn't mean that you or me as single girls are not able to negotiate with whoever we are marrying what we deem appropriate to be our bride price. And the money is not even given to our fathers or our uncles or whoever those representatives are. The money is for us to do what we feel we want to do with it. This is already stated in the Quran. However, more often than not, there is a misunderstanding and misinterpretation of what the religion says and what happens culturally. Because we're an overly religious society, our culture and our religious doctrines have intertwined in such a way that the lines are even almost invincible.
Thank you, Fali.
So this has created this notion of you can't negotiate amongst other things.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to go back to the studio. Fali talked about sexual and gender-based violence, and I feel like that's a point we're here to really talk about in the studio. More often than not, people do not, the community and the society does not see sexual and gender-based violence as a human rights issue. On a daily basis, a woman, at most 3 girls, out of 5 in Nigeria have been raped or molested or sexually abused at different times. That number is high up there. Perhaps I should throw this to the guys. Why do you think sexual and gender-based violence is not so much, amidst the concerns, the fact that some states are already implementing the VAP Act, but making a law is different, is away from implementation, as it were. We currently have, I think, a sex offenders register that was recently launched. Why is it that when a woman is raped, it doesn't carry the kind of weight it should carry? A police officer might even ask me what I was wearing before I was raped. Perhaps anybody that wants to react to it, please.
I would like to talk about that. I mean, even though dressing is not an excuse for you to be raped, even though your dressing, how you dress doesn't matter. If somebody wants to rape you, I mean, he doesn't look after your way of dressing. But at the same time, I think there's a kind of lack of orientation to the young girls, which we need to. We need to enlighten them on how to, we need to enlighten them on how this thing works. If a man looks at you in this way, this is how you should do. And if a man is looking at you or is trying to approach you in this way, this is how you should do. And you enlighten them. Dressing is not an excuse, but we need to enlighten these young ladies about it.
Enlighten young ladies
why must the
about
burden be on the lady? That
kind
it
of
has to be educated, it has to be enlightened. Why must the burden be on the lady, not on the men that are
This rape thing almost happened to me when I was younger. When I was in, I think, primary 4, I was just a young girl. My parents were not home. I had a neighbor. He's always calling me, my wife. You know, as a child, you just smile. Thank you, uncle. Thank you, uncle. And this day, I finished doing my assignment, and my mom was like, you just told me when you're done, go to Big Mommy's house, which wasn't far away. So I finished with everything, and I was just a young girl wearing a t-shirt and a shirt. I wasn't indecently dressed because I was a young child. And I was leaving, and this uncle came, my wife, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Big Mommy's house. He said, I like your hair, thank you. Before you know it, they're showing your favorite cartoon. And I was like, really? I went, and before you know it, I like your hair, I like this. And my grandma has already told me as a child, if a man touches you, you get pregnant.
That is one of the enlightenment I'm talking about.
Hold on.
One?
He said, if a man touches me, I'll get pregnant. So I had this issue that, no, I don't want to get pregnant when I'm still a teenager. I want to do this. I want to achieve this. So when it was coming close, I was thinking, my grandma said, if a man touches you, you get pregnant. And this man tried to rape me. And what saved me was because I was still in school then, so they taught us all these rape things that in case anything happened, even if it means breaking the person's head, do anything to survive. And he pinned me down. Luckily, I did exactly what I was taught. I was not indecently dressed. What if I was not able to escape? I won't stand here and be telling this kind of story. So I think we need, not the girls, they need to teach these young men when they are growing up all these things. How to behave.
Say, apart from that,
not dressing, not being.
Let me tell you, the society matters a lot. In Hamburg, because I stayed in Hamburg, when there was complete lockdown, a case of rape was reported in Hamburg. Now, and when they find out, they say, it was because the sex, what do they call, prostitute station, that is, we call the sex center, commercial sex center was locked. So then I said, okay, it may be as a result of the sex center being locked, that is why guys are now raping ladies, because they have wear. So immediately what the Hamburg government did, they now said, okay, let them open the sex center. But the ladies must wear masks, because I read some of the law. The ladies must wear masks. The guy going there for sex must wear masks. Now, this is in Nigeria.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
The analogy you're sharing is that because there's a lockdown,
yes,
the commercial hotels are locked as well.
Yes.
A woman, women are now they're
not prone. Yes, they're not prone to rape.
She's to be raped. Is
no,
that what you're
she's
saying?
not supposed to be raped. But these guys now, they find out that may be because if, for instance, there is an avenue, that place is open, maybe that person might not have done it. So it must have. So the government, in our wisdom, decided to say, okay, let's open. Now look at Nigeria now. If you check out some of the Nigeria cases that have been dropped, some of them will tell you they committed the act under drugs. They were under drugs when they committed the act. Why some? I have seen 90 years, 80 years. All these are problems of the society. The society, you can never take away crime from a society as far as we're on this planet Earth.
Why
but you can mitigate
it. Society? It is an individual person. You have to
look at it.
No,
it is the society. The society, because of what? We are lag behind in everything.
Okay.
Now,
what if I was almost raped? Will I say that guy is society?
No, what I mean by the society, I mean by the society in terms of living.
Now, listen. So, like I said earlier,
there is no excuse for it.
In Nigeria, yes, we are religious. So I think the solution to all this problem is government still need to work with our religious leader. Because in church, they hardly talk about rape and they hardly talk about all the social
sex.
advices.
They haven't talked about
so
sex. They haven't even
what we
preached
talk about is money,
in the public.
money,
To discuss about it.
give your life to Christ.
And that is
So are you saying
about
that it is the church or the government that has to teach
The
these
government,
young men not to rape
institution,
people?
No, society in
Listen,
general.
even though I said there's no
Society
excuse
in
for
general,
rape,
because
there's no excuse for rape, even though, like, maybe, like, the enlightenment I was talking about in the first place was this, like, we need to educate the young ladies and even the society in general.
Is it just young ladies?
Not young ladies, the society in general.
It does not apply to ladies alone.
There is no excuse for rape. There is no excuse for rape.
Two ladies attempted to rape me, but I came out of it. So if
I
such
know a guy that has been raped.
so things like that are happening in
there
the
is no
society. What
excuse
do
for
you
rape.
do?
There is
You
no
teach
excuse
people
for
and
rape.
give them the liberty. You find out that they say no commercial sex. That there should not be a state will tell you that there is nothing like commercial sex. No ladies permitted. People are doing it underground. And guys, it's a feelings that you cannot hide from. And some can control these feelings. Some cannot control these feelings. So when such a thing comes up, it depends if they are well taught, well groomed, and say this thing will come. All borders on education. If Nigeria is well groomed in education, things people will learn, people will know how to even address. Ladies will be equipped in defending themselves. The guys will also be equipped in how to distance themselves from such feelings once it comes around. Because sometimes it's a feelings that come. Some people don't have controls. Before you know, they fall into it.
Listen, feeling and whatever is not an excuse to rape somebody.
Yes.
It's not an excuse to rape somebody.
Yeah.
Raping is rape. You could be raped as a man.
Yeah.
And women are raped like multiple times. Like we have reports of women being raped. So there's no excuse for raping. Whether you are in the feeling or not in the feeling, you have no excuse to rape somebody.
There is no excuse. There must be
There's
a
no
reason
excuse
to
for somebody.
There is no excuse.
That is the enlightenment I was talking about in the first place.
You must be able to address that reason and what causes it. If you are able to address it, you may be able to reduce it, but you cannot eliminate it completely. What I'm trying to say here is that if Nigeria educational system is functioning in the appropriate order, there will be a reduction in crime. Now there is surplus of crime because of what? Lack of unemployment rate. Even the ladies. Even the ladies. What are you saying?
There are a lot of educated men that were caught raping young ladies. So education is not part of it.
I can tell
it
you
could contribute, but not part of it.
In Niger State.
Education is not. There are a lot of educated people that were caught raping.
Your education. What do you mean by education?
Education, you are confusing education, I think.
Telling people how to, what they need to know before time. You teach them, yes?
The same professor, I mean lecturers from university harassing young ladies.
Yes.
You know, so education is not
pastor,
an excuse.
the same imam, the same ladies.
The point I was making is you have no excuse to rape
about?
somebody. There's no excuse for raping. If you rape somebody, you must, like, there's no excuse. You can't hide behind someone and hide yourself.
You
cannot take
Thank you for your input. Can we have Sadao too has been itching to speak. Can we have comments from Fali, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mercy, for bringing me in. First of all, I want to clarify that when you discuss issues of rape, it has nothing to do with education. We have to get that out of this conversation. It's an issue of morality and how we think as individuals. And it's critical to recognize that some of these rapists are sick. They are actually sick, mentally sick, and they also need help. So the perspective or the conversation that it is a feeling and we should take care of it does not even arise. And you can't comfortably say that the ladies need to be trained. Ladies need to be trained in what exactly? So this goes back to what I was referencing earlier. It's a conversation of the values and morality that we have and as individuals, irrespective of the education that we have. Education is just a pathway. It's not a solution to all of our challenges, of all of our problems. Unfair on our society and our ladies to focus on saying ladies should be educated or should be better focused on how to dress amongst other things and men have feelings. And specifically to mention, I think our target should be now, how do we ensure all of these rape cases, now that we have the legal framework to challenge it, do not end up as hashtags or just mere conversations? Because this conversation line about, oh, they are mere feelings that men have, of course, would almost make the issues seem irrelevant not only to society, but even more irrelevant to the prosecuting officers who have a responsibility to ensure that our rights and safety in the society is protected.
Thank you so much, Fali, for that. Thank you.
I think she mentioned.
Uthman, you perhaps want to say something so we can wrap. Just solutions from you.
Yeah. Solutions. So I think she mentioned something about.
Hold on. Uthman wanted to say something.
Okay.
I think one of the solutions in the first place to combat the issue of rape in our society is for us to go back to the religious institution, and then again to the family specifically. Like one of the sisters in the studio had rightly pointed out, how her mom or parent used to tell her that when a woman is touched, she gets pregnant. That culture of orientation, even though it's not the right thing, like it's not the real fact, but then it will build that consciousness in her to know that this is issues that has to deal with her sensitivity and future. The family has a long road to play, as well as the religious institution. We need to have a rethink on the mindset about rape. Rape culture is a mindset. Rape culture, we are what we think. A PhD holder can rape a girl of 6, 7, and to me, that is madness. So you must be psychologically imbalanced for you to do that. So to hold an argument that education has to be given priority in order to combat rape, I think the society and the whole world had gotten enough education, if education is really something that is going to help us in curbing the issue of rape in the society. The society is enough. Because if you look at our society right now, the society are even facing more ills than before, when education was not that well known. And everybody can agree with that. So what we should be looking at is the religious institution, because these guys have a lot of activities in shaping public opinions. They have a lot of followers who believes in them, whether true or false, they believe in them. The family also has a lot. Your child will most likely to believe you when you are lying. So whatever you tell her, she's going to believe you. So that orientation must have to start from the family and the religious institution.
Thank you so much. Kola, your final take, please.
Thank you. I just want to corroborate what they were, both of them said, because I mentioned it earlier. Our religious leaders, they hold so much power in Nigeria, both Christian and Muslim. And if government can work with them in terms of orientating the society, in terms of morally what is acceptable in the society, what is not, another. But if you look at Nigeria now, I'm a Christian, so what an average church preaches is prosperity, because that is our number one problem in Nigeria. We are so poor. So that's that about religious side. And the other side about mental health. Mental health is real. When I was in Nigeria, I've never thought about mental health, but during this COVID, I knew what was mental health, or what is called mental health, because of when the COVID just started. But back in Nigeria, I wouldn't consider myself saying I'm mentally challenged because of COVID, because when COVID started, the news just bombarded us like, am I going to have COVID? But if I'm in Nigeria, I'll still continue going about my business. I won't even consider myself like, let me go and check myself and see if I'm mentally balanced and all that. So I think culturally, as a society, we still need to go back to our religious leader, because those guys, they hold so much power, because when election is coming, politicians go to them and meet them because they can sway people's opinion. And Nigeria, we are like 95% religious country and all that.
The same thing again comes to what I mean by education.
Final takes, please.
Even in schools, if they are well sensitized, the ladies are well sensitized from primary to secondary. The guys are well sensitized. Do you know that some schools don't even talk about sex education? Even in secondary school level. They don't talk about sex education. So how do you teach these people this thing? How do you make them to know? You go. I'm talking from first-hand information. That you go to some parts, they don't even want to hear that thing, sex education. They don't want to talk about it. A lady who finished the whole secondary school, she has not been taught on how to manage herself. So how do you expect such society to grow?
I mean, not in all religions.
So you have to teach them.
There is a provision for that in Islam.
You have to, excuse me, please. You have to teach them. You have to teach them in the religion. You have to teach them in school. You have to teach them even in the family. Let all this issue come up. Let the children be carried along, and everything will be okay. But one thing I must stand up: you must educate the ladies. You must educate Nigerians, and that will be. It will reduce the problem of Nigeria.
My final take, is not all about the education. Right from the family, right from where you are worshiping, these are already put in place. Like in my house, I have more of the boys. They've been teaching them this, all this sex thing, all this rape. In churches where I worship, they teach the male child against this rape. They do the same thing for the female. So by the time all this thing continues, I think there will be minimal cases of rape, which is already happening, against what you were saying, that they don't teach that. They are already teaching it.
There's provision for that.
So it's a gradual thing. And again, when they teach those people, it is an individual education.
Thank you.
When you teach those people, it is not left to them. Maybe when they are, they are mentally, they still go.
You need to be enlightened.
They are still enlightened.
Morality.
Yes.
It's a morality.
Education itself.
It's a morality.
Not education, the morality, not education, the morality.
Can we have your final take, please?
Okay, mine. I think if we should go back to the religious belief, I'm a Muslim, and I keep saying it, we have a way we teach the upcoming generation, starting from, let's say, with each year, like from 5 years, 6 years, we have how we impart the knowledge of how to take care of self. Like, for example, the first time you experience your period as a lady, not even before that, we have a way where we educate them on how to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. Not only the ladies, even the boys. Like, what you should do in this step, if you experience this is what you should do. So I think we have that in Islam.
Yes.
We need to carry the religion and the religious people.
We're talking about real life.
I'm telling you, we have that. We have that.
I'm telling you, but you cannot tell us that this is it. When you go to the far north, people are being oppressed. Ladies are being oppressed. Ladies do not have the right. They don't go to school.
We have it in Islam, is the truth. I am saying we have it in Islam.
The end product is marriage.
All I am saying is we have it in the religion.
And from the north, you have a system where you tell you that the lady product is marriage. So what do you expect? Then we don't want to.
Can we have your final thoughts, please? Final thoughts.
Thank you so much, Mercy, for convening this conversation. I think as we move forward as a nation and as young people, we must recognize that our education only gives us more access. It doesn't define who we are. It doesn't take us away from the challenges that are within our society. And specifically when it comes to issues on rape and sexual and gender-based violence, not just us, but I think our mindset need a radical shift. The mindset of the society needs a radical shift towards understanding that the issue of rape is a persistent problem within our society, and those who are responsible for this act within society must be held accountable. Otherwise, we will keep pushing it as a cultural issue, amongst other things. And then finally, when it comes to the status of women in our society, I think as a country, Nigeria can do better in terms of the engagement and inclusion of women, not only in the decision-making processes, but also in how the affairs of the home are run, because it is at that point that we'll begin to change the mindset and the moral values that of young men and the young people were raising, for the girls to understand that they have an equal footing in society, and also for the men and boys to understand that the woman is not below you, but an equal member of the home and an equal member of the society with you, who based on her right, her intelligence, is able to achieve anything equally with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sadatu. I want to say thank you to Pius Ibrahim Onoja, who came in all the way from Hamburg. Abubakar Mohammed, thank you so much.
Abubakar
from Munich.
Bello.
Kola Akintola.
Thank you.
A big thank you to you for your insight and, of course, your argument as well. Victoria Essien, you are brilliant as well. Thank you so much. Mr. Utman Tochukwu, are you in Abuja?
Abuja. I'm in Abuja.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Abuja. I'm in Abuja.
All the way from Abuja. Thank you so much. And Fali Hamo Saadatu.
Thank you.
All the way from Abuja as well. Thank you so much.
Nigeria, as a member of the United Nations, has adopted the conventions and recommendations of the International Labour Organization. In addition to the above, Nigeria has her own labour law as spelled out in the laws of the Federation of Nigeria. However, it's time to set our understanding of MSME businesses within the context of the regulations that control and direct their activities. With me in the studio to enable us have an understanding of key issues at stake is an elite panel consisting of Babatunde Faleke, the Deputy Director and Regional Coordinator, Southwest Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Teresa Alimi, founder of Lush Original, Tokumbo Akonde, and Simi Onobajo of WAFDAC. All right, let's get the background statistics before we delve into the conversation. All right, Yosola, thank you very much for joining me in the studio. Let me start with Tokumbo. Would you say MSMEs are well informed about the vital regulatory policies that should guide their businesses?
Yeah, essentially, from my understanding of it from the tax perspective, efforts have been deployed in the past through various government agencies to actually aggregate all these SMEs and provide opportunities for them to address the issue of understanding of what is required for you to formalize your business. And I think here it has not been 100% successful, but I think we have started along that line, and NASME, NASIMA, and all those other bodies have performed great wonders in that area. And the last time we spoke to Prince Obabiako, whatever is the president of NASME, he was able to give us an understanding of the number of people and number of businesses that they've been able to register under their program, and it's quite substantial, and the number is actually enormous for the size of our population of over 200 million. So if we are talking about close to about 10 million SMEs that have been registered under one body or the other, and I think we're in the right path. We are not yet there, but I think we're on the right path.
All right, Babatunde, would you like to share your thoughts on this too?
Well, I think that's a correct one, that the SMEs are quite aware of regulations. We are come from the Nigeria Provision Council. We do a lot before you export. There are things you must do. If you want to register with us, you must have a limited liability company. They are conscious of that. Though, I mean, that you don't have to also be a limited liability company. You could be a cooperative. You can come together. You could also do NGO. So in terms of advocacy, I think a lot is in there for people to understand the regulations and the regulatory system, knowing what to do and how to do it, because without proper regulations, honestly, we will not get it right. So I understand very well that everybody is conscious of that, because you want to play at the general level, there are regulations. It's an issue of regulations, which you must comply with.
Good evening, I am Shade Uwe, and this is News Update. Rotimi Akeredolu, Governor of Ondo State, will embark on a medical leave on Wednesday, December 13th, as a follow-up to his treatment. This was disclosed in a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary, Richard Olatunde. He stated that during his medical leave, Governor Akeredolu will prioritize his health and ensure a full recovery before resuming his official duties. The Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja has fixed January 8th to deliver judgment in the 1 billion naira fundamental rights suit filed by former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele against the federal government. Listed as defendants in the suit were the federal government, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and its chairman. He is urging the court to declare that his prolonged detention by the agency of the first and second respondents since June 10, 2023, and subsequent transfer to the custody of the third and fourth respondents on October 26, 2023, without being arraigned in court was unlawful. House of Representatives members of Northern Extraction promised to donate 350 million naira for the rebuilding of Tudunbiri community of Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. The leader of the Northern Caucus, Alassane Ado Doguwa, who led members of the caucus on a condolence visit to Kaduna, announced that the donation was in addition to the earlier donation of 45 million naira made to victims by the Speaker, House of Representatives, and the Kaduna State Caucus in the House. Governor Uba Sani appreciated the lawmakers and urged them to ensure that the victims get justice. The governor said investigating the incident was the most important thing that should be done by the National Assembly so as to prevent further reoccurrence.
Our collective contribution as a Northern Regional Caucus is amounting to 45 million naira. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have also considered and agreed through the leadership of the House of Representatives, obviously through the Speaker, to also bring on ground some developmental projects.
I believe the National Assembly must go back to drawing board and look at the laws that have to do with the security apparatus in our own country, because most of those laws are obsolete. They are not in line with the global best practice. As we are speaking, there's no synergy between the federal security agencies and the state government.
The People's Democratic Party said it would write the independent national election today to demand fresh elections to replace its 27 members in the Rivers State House of Assembly who defected to the All Progressives Congress. A total of 27 members of the House elected on the PDP platform on Monday defected to the APC and threatened to reject the request of the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, for approval. The reason adduced for their defection, according to the letters reaching to the Speaker, Martin Amayewule, and read on the floor of the House, was predicated on the division in the party as regards the tussle for the position of the National Secretary of the PDP, which has made communications channels difficult. Prior to the 2023 governorship election in the state, Nyesom Wike, then governor of the state, had reportedly bought firms for dozens of PDP stalwarts, including Fubara as governorship aspirant. But Wike was reported to have picked Fubara, who was then Accountant General of the state, a situation which created ripples among party leaders who said Fubara was not a politician and was not part of the struggle. Earlier in a statement, Ologun Agba declared that by defecting from the PDP, the seats of the respective 27 lawmakers had become vacant by virtue of the provision of Section 109 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Women in Nasarawa State who had been peacefully demonstrating against the appeal court's affirmation of Governor Abdullahi Sule as the winner of the 2023 governorship election in the state have declared that they are indigents of the state and not foreigners as alleged by the state's All Progressives Congress. The APC had accused the women of being hired from neighboring states by the People's Democratic Party to constitute nuisance in Nasarawa State in the guise of protesting against the judgment which nullified the ruling of the governorship election petitions tribunal, which earlier declared David Ombu Gado of the PDP as the winner of the election. Reacting to the allegations in Lafia, the Nasarawa State capital, one of the leaders of the women groups, Auta Clayton, said they will not stop protesting until the PDP governorship candidate, David Ombu Gado, reclaims his mandate at the Supreme Court.
The judges, they should fear God. They should fear God and do justice. As you can see my dress, justice must reign. We want justice. That's why we are crying. That's why we are here for justice. Supreme Court, I am appealing to you to deliver this judgment justly. Let them fear God. They are calling them Kotu Allah Isa in Hausa, and we don't want that name to nickname them to continue to follow them, but we are pleading. Let them do justice to David Martins Umbugadu's case and give us our case, our mandate. We are crying for our mandate, our right. We are fighting for our right. We are not for anything apart from.
The civil societies against injustice and bad governance have appealed to Nigerians of good conscience to intervene in the activities of Justice Morris Ayemba Ikpambese in the administration of the estate of late Godwin Dabo Aduzaona. Addressing journalists at a protest in Makurdi, the group alleged that Justice Ikpambese, who was the administrator of the will, undervalued the property and sold it off to the dissatisfaction of other members of the family. The group also demanded for the immediate reversal of the sale of the late Godwin Dabo's Plaza, located on Makadi Alaide Road, allegedly sold to Oracle Nigeria Limited.
Justice Morris Ikpambese was the one who administered the estate of Dr. Godwin Dabo Aduzaona, in which there were contentions from the family members. He went ahead to give some of the family members, he deemed fit, the papers to sell the land against the majority will of the family members. And at the end of the day, the land was alienated to Oracle Nigeria Limited, who belongs to the former governor of Benue State, Governor Otom.
The group have also appealed to the governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, and the National Judiciary Council to open up investigation into the activities and roles in land grabbing and the administration of the estate.
In the valuation of this property, we saw that there were a lot of fraudulent issues. I think this is an abuse of the public office of Justice Ikpambese and the trust imposed on him by the Nigerian government. Appeal that Justice Morris Ikpambese should resign from his seat as the Chief Judge of Benue State, for he has abused the trust imposed on him as a Chief Judge of Benue State.
To speak with Justice Ikpambese, who is the state chief judge, failed at the time of filing this report. Now moving on to other parts of Africa. Egyptians are voting on Tuesday in the third and final day of presidential elections as incumbent President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is widely expected to win a third term in office. The election this year is overshadowed by the war in Gaza and the severe domestic economic crisis. For weeks before the elections, authorities have urged people through local media to vote en masse amid fears of a low voter turnout. On Sunday, the Election Commission said that voter turnout was high and exceeded all expectations. And in outside Africa, United Nations General Assembly is due to vote later today on a non-binding resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian in Gaza. The United States, one of the only 5 permanent members of the Security Council, used its veto on Friday to halt a draft text calling for a ceasefire. In a bid to build pressure, Arab countries called for the new special session of the General Assembly following a visit to the Rafah border by more than a dozen Security Council ambassadors this week. There were no vetoes in the General Assembly, but unlike the Security Council, its resolutions are not legally binding. Still on the news, in business, the federal government says if the country records a solid revenue performance, it will return to the National Assembly for appropriation of extra revenue in 2024. Wale Edu, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, spoke when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Finance led by Sani Musa. President Bola Tinubu had presented a 27.5 trillion naira budget proposal for 2024 to the National Assembly about 2 weeks ago. Speaking on the development, Eden said the revenue performance of the country is encouraging, adding that it is expected to continue. Now in entertainment, American singer and songwriter Ciara has welcomed her 3rd child with her husband, NFL star Russell Wilson. The 1-2-step singer and football star announced on Monday night that they have welcomed a baby girl, whom they named Amora. The couple are also parents to Sienna Princess Wilson and Wynn Harrison Wilson. Ciara is also the mother of future Zahir Wilburn, whom she shares with her ex Future. Now moving on to sports. The Super Falcons goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie was crowned the CAF Women's Goalkeeper of the Year for 2023. The Paris FC of France short stopper beat fellow goalkeepers in the form of Moroccan shortstopper Khadija El Michi and South Africa's Andile Olamini. The award is a reward for her heroics in the Women's World Cup in Canada and Australia, finishing the tournament with 3 clean sheets. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Shade Uwe. Many thanks for watching.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
The Nigerian film industry has continued to gain popularity across the continent and on the global stage. Even with its popularity and growth, it is still to be criticized on many fronts, one of which is that it is a quantity-driven industry as opposed to a quality one. Stakeholders have given certain factors for churning out substandard movies. Some have said budget restrictions, weak plots, repetitive dialogue, and the overwhelming lack of public-private partnership, not leaving out government participation. Since 2010, some positive developments have changed the nature of Nollywood. They include an influx of professional filmmakers, the rise in international festival and cinema tours, international premieres, collaborations with multinational companies, Pan-Africanism and distribution via multiplexes. In this time, a film's release on VCD, DVD began to happen later in its life, effectively disenfranchising Nollywood's traditional mass-market consumer base. The question I am interested in answering are Nollywood's filmmakers becoming more specialized in their art? And was it gentrifying? I use the word metaphorically to explore whether Nollywood increased in grandeur, appeal and acceptance amongst Nigeria's upper class. Hence, leading to fast rise in features of skit makers, brand influencers, and basically anyone with a little bit of fame. And has this become the domino effect, catapulting skit makers and brand influencers into a whole lot of fame?
Put your card number here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, my dear.
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
Let me send something to you.
Oh, I actually think I remember, sir.
Eh?
Opopo Temungo.
Yeah!
Yes, sir.
You remember the conference?
Yes, I do.
You will go far.
Yes,
you will go far, my dear.
Well, the Nollywood structure has been of concern to many veterans, and one of them is Saeed Balogun.
I will appeal to the government to give us structure. And the government don't have problem. It is we movie makers. They tend to do riots in the state, carrying placard. It is the National Assembly that should give me a structure. Are they trying to make me powerless? Is it a dictatorship style of ruling? They don't know what to do. The question I ask myself at times is, that honorable that is in charge of culture and code that can give me structure, does he know anything about movies? He's just looking for where to be. He doesn't even know. It is one, we have a lot of us that can bring the revolution. About 5 or 6 of us in the assemblies, we can scream, we tell them, God damn you, you know what I'm suffering, you know what I'm going through now, so speak my language. But if you tend to put one honorable man there who was elected, who was and probably mechanical engineer or an economist or something, who doesn't even know my pain, we can't get it right. It is the structure. After the structure, yeah, the investors can now smile, because if you invest in me, put money on my table, I mean, there, you want me to put food on my table, put in billions and I'll give you back millions or thousands. Will you come back some other time? No. When the government gets it right, the investors, please, if they are coming, I always tell them, please invest in me, in what I can pay back. I am the president of the Golden Movie Ambassadors of Nigeria. We believe in restructuring, repositioning, and getting everything right. An ambassador means you can represent your country everywhere. That is where professionalism comes in. A lot of people are just coming in from everywhere. We have more than 50 associations, 31 performing. What we're looking for, why can't we be one? A professionalism can come in when you have a strong structure that can guide it.
New talents are essential for growth and encourage new faces into the industry, but proper training is vital for theatre and, of course, film.
Training is critical. We need to create a platform that gives everybody the opportunity to be trained, and then also we need to look at also some means of internship on productions, take people on and guide them, and show them how to do what you do. If we look at theatre itself, it's a massive training ground for talents that will end up even on screen. I think training is important, but then a lot of people learn on the job, which is good. But I think where we would get it right is if production houses, also attempt to train, give basic training to people that are not necessarily trained, that are venturing into the industry. You have actors, there are people that are good, they are not trained actors, but on their own, like you said, skit makers, they didn't go to anywhere, but their skits are so evolved that they have so many people looking forward to see what next they are going to do, and then you see they can hone their skills and use them, but then again, it is a factor of the industry having that capacity to train, having the infrastructure to train. a lot of these people would want to, if the opportunity is there, gain more knowledge on how to do film, how to be better actors or producers or things like that, but then we need to have that platform that gives them that opportunity. That's one. And two, production companies also should look at ways of, even at times, some training do not necessarily have to be formal. They could be informal through internships and things like that. And then skit makers also, at times when they've made so much fame, they are popular, and they feel they have arrived. But no, there are certain basics you still need to learn. At times you should learn also to try and hone your skills so you can be better. That you are popular now does not mean you cannot do better things, milking that popularity that you have gained now through the skits you do, which we notice a lot of people don't do. A lot of directors will just allow you to do your thing. I've heard of a set where the director just say, okay, read the line, or yeah, do your thing, but at times you should be able to tell somebody, this is what I want you to do, this is the way I want it to be. That helps with the quality. The next thing I'll look at is casting. People cast for the wrong reason. It is good to cast with the mind that this person is going to draw eyeballs or is popular. Hopefully, the person will help with publicity. It is good. But when you look at certain characters and you know that you need somebody to deliver top-notch performance, and then that character is unique in that way. It's not something you can just cast anybody because of the numbers. And you overlook that fact and you just put someone that cannot deliver on the character because you think the person has got numbers, then that drags the quality of the production.
It is not acceptable for popular faces to just go on and start filming without necessary kinds of training. For us in Actors Guild of Nigeria, it's something we totally abhor and we condemn. So you find that sometimes before you catch them, they are finished making the film. So we are gradually working with the censors board in Nigeria to see that some of these things are put to a stop. You must have a certain level of qualification. Even if you have graduated from school and you have not done this business before, you still need some kind of elementary approach where you will be given some ideas, instructions on what to do before joining the Nollywood industry. It's not all about I can act, I cannot act. Sometimes you see these popular people, when they come to set to act, they don't know terminologies of the industry. When you tell somebody who is acting and you say the director says cut, he doesn't know or she doesn't know what cut means, you understand? All of these things are the rudiments of the industry that they needed to go through. But because we are in a country where everything goes, people don't seem to follow rules and regulations, but we are gradually closing in on them.
With the advent of internet, social media, and instant entertainment platforms, many reality TV stars and skit makers have risen to fame. In this part of the world, becoming a top celebrity is either by ad work, persistence, or through reality shows. As we know that the road to fame is a tough one around here, a few of our top Nigerian celebrities credit their prominence to reality shows which have given them the opportunity. One of them is Seyi Awolowo, who didn't see it as a challenge for the Nollywood to cast popular faces in movies, as long as the directors have a sense of direction and vision they hope to achieve in the movie.
Well, I don't see why not. Everybody is entitled to be able to do what it is that they want to do. Only thing is when it becomes constant and if there's a regulatory body involved, if it's a constant thing where they've literally become constant film kid and they need to be registered, okay, then they can go and do that. But I believe that everybody should have, I don't see any reason why I will not put who I want to put in my own production when I want to put them in my production. I mean, I see that person to fit the role accordingly, to fit the character, Bible properly. So why not I'll bring the person on board? So I don't see anything wrong with it, as such. It just depends on who's creating movie and whose movie it is. Sometimes you want a particular kind of thing, but you're not willing to give. Give what you take or take what you give, how to speak. If you're going to be professional to the T. Follow your this thing and not along the line. I want to start using the or there's a sentiment of now help us to make it known. If you start a kind of particular kind of way, go all the way down to the end. Professionalism in the industry, I can't say varies from companies to companies or from
different organizations to organizations how professional they are, or their motto, or their modus operandum of how they want to handle things. So, that's the thing. For me now, I can just have a laid back working environment where I want everybody wearing shorts and t-shirt and being more laid back, as to probably just someone that wants everybody in a tie. And so it just depends on the modus operandi of that particular organization that is handling the production of whatever movie, or that is handling that particular production for the time being while you are working. If you get what I'm saying.
There are regulatory bodies, but do they really carry out their duties? How do they manage professionalism in the Nollywood industry?
For us, we have a constitution that we're working with, but we're trying to come up with the memorandum of understanding in the industry, whereby even if you are involved in any show or something where you have been elected as maybe highest winner and all of that, you will need to still pass through 1 or 2 trainings and then belong to a group, either as a producer or as an actor, before you are practicing in the industry. Yeah, professionalism, without being political here, every industry needs professionalism. For us in Nollywood, we are grappling with that, because the Nollywood industry is the industry that started without entry point and without exit point, and it continued to grow without anybody checking it. Now it has grown beyond bounds, that wherever you are coming with discipline, it becomes like it's too difficult to instill discipline among practitioners, because there were no laid down rules from beginning. There were a lot of illiterates. There were a lot of people who didn't go to school. There were a lot of people who didn't see the 4 walls of any school, but because they are talented, they have made it big, and they are now in the industry. So it's a Herculean task at this point. So we're calling on people who have been here before in the industry to come back and say, look, this thing is getting out of hand. We have to come back to the basis. Let's see where we structure. Every actor, every producer, every director, you must belong to where your people are. Let us begin to see places. We need professionalism, so I don't just do things out of proportion.
The Nollywood industry is a growing work in progress, and the Nigerian Film Censors Board needs to enforce the parameters that positively influence the creative processes from writing a screen to post-production. Is this body efficiently empowered to ensure professionalism in Nollywood? Well, hope we find answers soon.
For domestic violence.
At least your treacherous body would have been manure for the motherland. Listen to the words of a corpse. You cannot win this war.
My production career started off practically by some form of divine intervention. I work in TV production, and I've done that in advertising for over 20 years. I do storytelling as well. I do narrative. I've done films, TV series, etc. I taught myself to draw, and that meant 4 hours of sketching every day, minutely competent, where people will say, this doesn't suck. You actually have to practice.
For God's sake, Emeka, we don't even have enough guns or food. What were you thinking?
If you and Uzogu had not unleashed your unique brand of madness last January, we wouldn't be swimming in beers and blood.
It was a revolution!
I was with one of my uncles, and he got me a job in, then it was Vanguard newspapers in Apapa. And I got to meet all my heroes, because in those days, I knew every cartoonist of every Nigerian publication by name, because I would always look for the signature. Advertising was obviously the way to go. English then, if you're doing English, you're either going to be a teacher or something. I was like, no, this is a cool industry. This industry is really cool. It's really being paid to be creative. I was sent around the agency to learn every aspect of advertising. And when I got to TV production, the then head of TV production of SO&U, then Mr. Greg Olutayo, said to me, okay, I want him. So he just made a request. There are many highlights. I've won awards for films I've made, TV series I've done. But let me just jump forward. The most recent thing I've done I'm extremely proud of is being one of the 3 directors on MTV Sugar, Niger. And you have to learn. So when I came into production, I was always asking questions. So I was on a quest to know why this visual image was better than this visual image. And that got me into studying and learning about production. It helps to be always focused on what will make you win. There's a very healthy sense of motivating yourself to always get things right. Make sure your work is up to standard. It resembles anything else across any other platform across the world. The second thing is it must have your identity. It must have your strong cultural identity.
A 20-meter cliff, a couple of ropes, freezing cold water, and me trying to cope with all of that. I did make it down in the end, but this outing with a couple of guys really had me testing my limits. And that's precisely our topic this week on Made, leaving the comfort zone. I'm Chris Kober, welcome. We don't want to be bogged down with details, do we? It is the result that counts. Well, sometimes it's the details that unveil an inconvenient truth. Take meat production. We know that for us to be able to slap that steak on our grill, an animal needs to die. Often enough in anything but a gentle or respectful way. Our reporter Kai Steinecke, an avid meat lover, decided he wants to leave his comfort zone and does want to know how the sausage gets made, literally. A word of warning, the report contains scenes some viewers may find disturbing.
Hello. I am going to slaughter one of these animals. They belong to Wendelin Schmucke. He farms sheep the traditional way. His family has been doing this since 1750. His sheep are out to pasture for most of the year. But it's hard to find enough grazing land.
In der Regel brauchen die Schafe
The sheep need about a hectare a day, that is.
Dann brauchen die auch jeden Tag 1 Hektar Fläche.
A hectare every day?
Ja, 10.000
Yes, a hectare for 700 sheep.
So this whole field is only enough for today. When they've had their fill, the flock will go home to the farm.
I hope the ones that I'm gonna slaughter are going to be bigger.
Oh yes, this one is bigger. It's 6 months old and weighs about 40 kilos.
That's huge.
I had no idea how quickly they grow.
I really don't know if I can do this.
I'm grappling with the fact that we kill animals so we can eat meat, and that I'm going to kill this lamb. First, we have to take it to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, you really can feel the 40 kilograms.
It's a 10-minute drive, nothing in comparison to the lengthy journeys to the slaughterhouse that livestock often face. Marco Kerr will be by my side throughout the process. He's been a butcher for more than 10 years, and he only slaughters what people bring him for their own consumption, like this lamb that I've bought.
Das ist das Schlachthaus hier und hier werden wir das gleich drin machen.
What was it like for you the first time?
Ja, das erste war.
You don't forget the first time. I had to leave the room. It was all a bit much.
Das war ein bisschen viel. Gar nicht so das
Not because of the blood, but the fact that an animal is dying.
Und das wird dir erst bewusst.
You don't really grasp that until you see it. And when it's done, you can't undo it. But we'll manage.
Wir schaffen das schon. Wir schaffen das.
Marco shows me how to use a bolt gun. It destroys the sheep's brain, and it won't feel anything afterwards.
Hold it loosely and then press once.
Einfach trauen.
That was it.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's like a real gun.
Yeah.
And now the lamb's head is in the firing line.
All is good, all is good. Oh my God.
Höchster Punkt. Verbindungslinie.
Highest point, draw a line. There.
Finger weg.
Take your fingers away.
Immer den Finger weg.
Ja.
So. Aufsetzen.
On the head and pull the trigger.
Ja.
Knife, slice it through, all the way.
Durchstechen, richtig. Durch.
And again.
Muss man einmal.
Oh God, Jesus. That's a lot of blood. That's a lot of blood.
Das war's.
That was it. It's over.
Hat er's geschafft.
So, how was it?
It's all happening so fast. I think I'll need time to process that. I've killed an animal.
Super geschossen, wirklich.
Great shot, really.
Wirklich sehr gut.
But that was just the first step. We're still a long way from having any chops or sausages. First, cut off the head, then the legs and the pelt. That's easier than I'd expected.
Das bedeutet dann aber auch
This
so,
isn't mass
es ist ja keine
production.
Masse so, ne? Also dann kann ja nicht jeder
Not
immer
everybody
dann
can
halt
get
so
a
einen
lamb like
Lamb
this.
haben, mehr oder weniger.
Das ist so. Das ist so.
That's
Aber
true.
das macht's auch wieder besonders.
But that's
Und
what
das
makes
ist
it
auch wieder
special.
Das, da haben wir den
And it's what makes it
Nachhaltigkeitsaspekt
sustainable.
einfach mit drin. Die Leute
People approach the whole thing in a different
denken
way,
einfach anders über das
especially with an
Fleisch,
animal like
wenn sie's
this.
essen, gerade bei so einem Tier. Genau.
We still need to get rid of the guts.
Genau. Einmal über Nacht in die Kühlung. Wenn's abtropfen.
Now it's left to hang overnight. That makes it easier to process.
I think what happened back in that slaughterhouse will forever be burned into my mind. The noises, the sounds, the smells, but it's the only way that sustainably eating meat is actually possible, because doing this in the masses of meat we eat today is absolutely impossible. But still, for me, I don't really know if I'm ever going to walk into a supermarket again and be like, yeah, I'm going to eat that meat.
The next morning, it's time to harvest the meat we've worked so hard for. Taking the carcass apart isn't any easier, it turns out.
And there goes the shoulder.
Yes!
About 20 kilograms of the lamb are lost in the process, mainly the pelt and the guts. That looks great.
Da haben wir's. Dann Bratwurst als erstes.
How about a sausage for starters?
Dann
I'm not going to lie, this tastes really, really good. And I don't feel guilty about it because the lamb had a good life and a good death. And I'm not turning vegetarian, but it's only for special occasions, really. When you slaughter animals like we used to do 100 or 150 years ago, and like we just did, you also need to eat meat like we used to 100 or 150 years ago. That means only a steak a week, and that's it.
Oh my, what a day for a reporter. Leaving your comfort zone doesn't always happen voluntarily. People losing their jobs because businesses are suffering under pandemic restrictions. Now, that's a real problem. But maybe this crisis can also offer opportunities. Entrepreneur Ernest Darko might have some advice for you, even if you're not into large-scale health systems development like he is.
The COVID pandemic has really turned the world upside down. So here are the 5 tips to boost your career in the context of a pandemic. It's really important to focus on things that you're passionate about. Even if in the overall sense of your career, it's hard to find, the thing to be passionate about. I grew up in a situation where healthcare was always poor, clinics were always overcrowded. Halfway through my medical career, I realized that if I really want to make a difference in these types of environments, I needed to be a doctor of systems, not just of people. Many years later, here I am basically running a company that is focused on helping countries fix their systems at large scale. If it's not easy to get out of bed to go to that job or to go do that particular thing I've chosen to do, then I know I'm probably doing the wrong thing. If in particular you're in a career that's very much dependent, for example, on seeing people, and we know that going into lockdown and isolation is the norm, it's definitely going to impact your career or your profession negatively. So do that assessment really quickly to understand whether it's going to diminish or create opportunities for you. If there is an opportunity, try and figure out how am I going to work myself into that opportunity. So if I can now innovate in order to now meet this new demand, yes, I cannot see people in person, but there's this huge demand now. How can I innovate basically to meet this new opportunity? So we developed a screening app, for example, that community workers who are going to do the door-to-door COVID screening could use to capture the screening and the result of the screening in real time. Look at tech enabling yourself. Using technology to allow you to innovate, using technology to allow you to meet the new opportunities that are presented by COVID, as opposed to purely being a victim to what COVID has done. So technology can be a game changer in many cases. It allows you to scale yourself up. It allows you to be accessible by your clients in ways that probably might actually be better than pre-COVID. As we've seen with COVID, things keep changing, right? Everything from having first wave to second wave to learning new things about the disease that then changes the policy environment, that then changes the rules. You'll know you're adapting in the right way if you're maintaining your clients, if you're maintaining quality and you're maintaining satisfaction with what you're doing. I know it may sound like a bit of a luxury to be in a position where you can do all of these things because some people may not actually have these options. But to the extent that you can, I think it's important that you do so. And I've seen some amazing examples of people doing this and in fact, not only surviving the pandemic, but actually thriving in the context of all of the challenges that COVID-19 has brought.
Readjusting your career can be difficult, no doubt, particularly if your plan was to have one of the coolest jobs ever, flying a plane. But we know the pandemic has been an utter nightmare for the travel business. The global airline body IATA says air traffic this year is expected to be 66% lower than last. So it's been a huge mess for the sector up to this point, and even with bookings slowly recovering, German flagship carrier Lufthansa has suggested that would-be pilots in its prestigious Flight Academy might have to rethink their plans.
Flying free as a bird over majestic landscapes, it's an appealing prospect for many. The videos about Lufthansa's pilot training program in the United States are a favorite with Lukas Heim. The 22-year-old moved to Bremen a year ago with his girlfriend to start his training at the European Flight Academy, the Lufthansa Group's training school in Germany. Now they're packing up and leaving Bremen. In March, the course was suspended. 700 would-be pilots were left hanging. For Lukas, it's been a very trying time.
They just kept stalling and putting us off. First they said the course would start up again in May, then in September, then next January. Since it's also unclear, it's time for us to leave. We can't keep paying rent for this flat. We came to Bremen so that I could become a pilot and Svea could go to university. But our time here is now over.
After many months in a kind of suspended animation, would the training resume or wouldn't it, Lukas and Svea made the difficult decision to give up and go home.
We had a plan when we moved here. Lukas was going to complete his training. And now we're leaving again, and he hasn't completed it. It's like running in a marathon and turning back halfway and never reaching the finish line.
Lufthansa, Germany's biggest airline, was brought to its knees by the collapse in air travel caused by the pandemic. It was saved from bankruptcy by a €9 billion bailout. Half its fleet remains grounded. The head of Lufthansa Aviation Training, Stefan Kenan-Scheib, says the airline has 1,000 pilots more than it needs.
We tell our student pilots quite candidly that the prospects for becoming a pilot are very, very bad right now because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the financial situation of the Lufthansa Group. We're losing €500 million every month. It's our duty to be open to the students and tell it like it is.
Most aviation industry analysts say the demand for pilots after the pandemic is hardly likely to soar. They don't see air travel picking up significantly until 2025. Most of the youngsters who have had to halt their training need a job to get by. Caroline Bösner was in the United States when she heard the course had been suspended. Now she's back living with her parents in Leipzig and working at an Amazon logistics center.
It wasn't easy, but I had to take a pragmatic approach. I knew I couldn't just sit around at home. I had to do something. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to make some money. You don't earn anything as a student pilot. On the contrary, it's more like burning money.
Many student pilots now find themselves in a precarious financial situation. They are by far not the only group of people in need of work, as the pandemic and ensuing lockdown measures shuttered entire industries.
People who worked in tourism or food service are coming to us. They say either they need a job as a stopgap measure or they want to change careers entirely.
Caroline Bösner says for her, working at Amazon is temporary. She's not given up her long-standing dream of becoming a pilot. She remains as committed as ever.
I absolutely still want to fly. I'm not going to give up on my dream. It's anchored within me and it's not going to go away. I flew all over Florida. It was fantastic. And then suddenly I was back in cold Germany. I can't imagine doing anything else. So I have to find a way to finish my training. If need be, without Lufthansa.
200 minimum. 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 200 minimum
The enthusiasm may be great, but facts on the ground are not encouraging. Lufthansa has recommended its students actually give up rather than wait for the course to restart. If they complete the programme, they're going to be charged €80,000, and they won't have the guarantee of a job, as used to be the case. Lucas's father, Christopher Heim, is appalled. He's been a pilot at Lufthansa for 32 years.
This sounds to me rather like coercion. If I agree to terminate the training contract, everything will be fine. If I don't and want to fulfill my dream, then a huge sum of money comes due. I don't like that. I think it's dishonorable.
It's quiet and empty at the European Flight Academy in Bremen. This is the first time Lukas Heim has been inside since March. He too remains determined to become a pilot, despite the difficult conditions prevailing right now. Though he says he doesn't yet know how he's going to do that.
What I would like is for them to say, when we restart pilot training, we'll take you guys first, or that they at least certify our test results.
But Lufthansa has not made any such commitment. Nor does CEO Carsten Spohr have any words of encouragement for the students. He's already indicated that Lufthansa will have no more work for tens of thousands of its employees.
As with all professions and at all German universities, there are no guarantees of jobs in the future. And that is the case here too. Aviation remains a fascinating industry for young people too. But I think we have to face reality. In the years ahead, there are going to be too many people for the jobs available. Anybody planning a career in aviation has to take this into account.
The pandemic could end the dreams of an entire generation of would-be pilots.
"2020 has brought dread, distress and disappointment, sure, but there are exceptions. E-commerce has seen an unprecedented boom. And with people having second thoughts about standing in line at crowded malls, trade experts believe online shopping revenue in Germany will be up almost 20% this year. But my colleague Olaf Krieger feels Christmas is not about the presents. It's what we make of it, now more than ever.
Oh, how joyfully, oh, how merrily, Christmas comes with its grace divine.
Christmas comes with grace in this of all years? Really?
Krieger, is that you?
Erika!
What are you doing here?
How about a bit of Christmas in these troubled times?
Come on in, we can decorate and we can chat.